This week, the government's new one-in, one-out deal with France is expected to finally see the first Channel migrants removed back across the border.
It comes as far-right convict Tommy Robinson drew thousands to his Unite the Kingdom rally in London over the weekend. And Sir Keir Starmer insisting Britain will never surrender its flag to extremists. We're joined now by the Skills Minister, Baroness Jacqui Smith. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
Used to be at the Home Office, of course, but why can this government not get a grip either on immigration or on the rhetoric surrounding immigration?
Well, firstly, on the immigration point, what this government has already done is to increase the capacity to make quick decisions about asylum. It's returned 35,000 people who don't have the right to be in this country. It's increased the ability for the system to, it added extra powers, for example, for law enforcement to be able to actually tackle the criminal gangs that are behind the illegal migration that we see across the Channel. And of course, the deal that we were able to do with France means that we've already been able to detain people who've come across on those boats, and we will be able to return them to France. This is a really entrenched problem because of the way in which the last government enabled criminal gangs to really get their roots into this terrible trade. And it will need the type of relentless work that this government has been doing and will do in order to tackle it.
People are not seeing results, and as a result, reform are on the rise. And separately, of course, you see scenes like we did on Saturday. Baroness Go here says the government is not doing enough to stop the rhetoric and to stop the violence and the abuse. There's not enough out-and-out condemnation of racial and religious abuse. I mean, when you saw those scenes and the outcome on Saturday and hear the fears expressed by racial minorities in the face of what happened at the weekend, what do you feel?
Well, you know, I feel, as the Prime Minister said yesterday, that whilst we are proud to have a country that enables free speech and the freedom to protest, we are also proud of our country and our flag and the diversity that it represents. And we will not have that used to intimidate people because of their background or because of the colour of their skin.
And what's we will not have that in what way will you not, apart from expressing a view?
Well, you did ask me, Susanna, to condemn it, and I'm condemning it in pretty strong terms. And that's why, for example, we also won't accept some of the violence that we saw against our police. You know, people that claim to be proud of our country, well, I'm sorry, but my country is not about going out on a Saturday afternoon and beating up police officers, nor is it about using our flag, of which I am very proud, to intimidate people on the basis of their background and the colour of their skin. The Prime Minister has been really clear about that. Now, of course, there are people on that march who are frustrated about the speed with which things are changing in this country. I share their frustration. That's why, as a government, we need to get on with the things that will make a difference. That's why in the last 2 weeks even, we've delivered free childcare for working parents and built more
to migration. What's happening today or even tomorrow? Is a flight going to be going back to France, taking a migrant?
Well, look, because we signed this agreement with France, we've already been able to detain people to be returned to France. And I can't talk about the operational details.
When will it happen?
I can't talk about all of the operational details, but yes, it will happen that we have detained people and we will be able to return them to France. And that will send an important message to people coming across the...
Surely you can say when it will happen, can't you?
Well, I don't want to give information, Richard, on your programme that helps the smugglers. But the whole point about the agreement that we have signed is that it will enable us, as we already have done, to detain people and to return them to France.
How would it help a smuggler to hear through this programme or some other outlet that the first flight's taken off or is going to take off? How does that possibly affect the smuggling?
Well, I think people will be able to hear about that when it's happened. But whilst we're doing that, I think it's important that we just get on with it and we don't provide the sort of information that might help people to prevent it from happening.
OK, well, on the whole question of not saying very much, your boss, the Prime Minister, is going to put his head above the parapet a bit later today. We don't quite know what he's going to say or how he's going to say it, but he's going to be in public for the first time talking about this nuclear deal with the United States. Do you accept that it's pretty hard for people to accept the explanation that number 10 Downing Street had sight of these incredibly embarrassing emails that Peter Mandelson sent to Epstein nearly 24 hours before the Prime Minister stood up in the Commons to defend Mr Mandelson? It seems really weird, to put it bluntly, that those emails weren't passed over to the Prime Minister immediately they arrived so he could form a judgment and effectively sack Mr Mandelson before standing up in the Commons, basically supporting him and then having to do a U-turn the next day.
Well, what happened was, on Tuesday, extracts of the emails were presented to the Foreign Office by media outlets. The Foreign Office immediately sent a series of questions to the ambassador. This was not the whole content of the emails, but they immediately asked questions of the ambassador. Then on Wednesday, in fact, after Prime Minister's questions, the full details of the emails, which are pretty reprehensible and show the depth and the nature of the relationship that Peter Mandelson had with Epstein, that this was the point at which it became clear that he was suggesting to Epstein that the original conviction wasn't right. He was offering to coach him and support him to overturn it. He was suggesting that Epstein had suffered torture, when in fact the only people that have suffered torture were the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. It was at that point that the full emails showed the nature and the depth of the relationship, and the Prime Minister considered that overnight, and then at the first opportunity on Thursday asked the Foreign Secretary to remove the ambassador from... Just a minute. Asked the Foreign Secretary to remove the ambassador from his position.
Can I ask, because it was on Wednesday morning we were reporting on this, because it was on Tuesday evening that Lord Mandelson had done the interview in which he said there was more to come out.
Yeah.
And any of us as journalists, or any of us in the public eye, and presumably the Prime Minister, should have thought, what's he referring to? Made a call, found out, and not expressed confidence in him at Prime Minister's questions at midday on Wednesday.
Well, I don't think that it was completely clear at that point, even when Peter Mandelson was doing that interview. I'm not sure even Peter Mandelson knew what the details were that were going to come out in those emails.
Something embarrassing was coming.
He obviously knew what he'd done, but it was after Prime Minister's questions that the real detail in those, the disgusting detail in those emails, was brought to the attention of the Prime Minister. And when that happened, he removed Peter Mandelson from his job.
The moment that was publicised, that interview was publicised, with Peter Mandelson saying, I regret to say that there's worse to come, surely the moment he walked out of that studio, his phone should have gone, and it should have been number 10 saying, what are you talking about? Because the PM's going in to bat for you tomorrow at PMQs. What do we need to know? Are you telling me that Mr Mandelson wouldn't have known what he was talking about?
Yeah, what I just explained to you, Richard, was the day before, the Foreign Office had already contacted Peter Mandelson to ask him for a response to the extracts of the emails that they had received.
Very hard, did they?
It wasn't until after Prime Minister's...
Well, they didn't. They obviously didn't chase him very hard if they had to wait a whole day for him to come back with some kind of answer.
Well, nobody had seen the details of the emails at that point. As soon as the details of the emails were seen on Wednesday afternoon, the Prime Minister removed Peter Mandelson from his ambassadorship.
Can I just ask before we let you go, will Sir Keir Starmer be Prime Minister at the time of the next election?
Yes.
For what reason?
Because he turned the Labour Party round. He got elected on a landslide 14 months ago. We're already delivering on the change that this country needs to see. We'll carry on doing that. And I believe and I hope that Keir Starmer will be both the Prime Minister and our candidate at the next general election.
Jacqui,
Baroness Jacqui Smith, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Okay.